Hey there, Ian here once again, and I very much hope this is catching you happy, healthy, and strong. Today I want to talk about momentum. Now, momentum is a term in physics that describes the amount of motion that something has. It's equivalent to mass in motion. And we can think of it, we've probably heard the term momentum in sporting areas. We've got a good momentum and we're moving forward and things are going right for us. When we have momentum, we are more difficult to stop. At the same speed, a big car has more momentum than a small car. But just remember, when we've got it, we're more difficult to stop. So much for the physics lesson. Why am I talking about that now? Well, when we have momentum, we are often more relaxed and we're making better decisions. We seem to be able to recognize what options are available to us and make better choices when we have momentum. When we begin to lose momentum, if we're not careful, we begin to push, we begin to demand more of our teammates, and that can lead to stress and it can lead to poorer decisions, which actually then erodes our momentum even further and we push more and things start going downhill. Now, as an example, I love sport, as many of you realize, and I particularly enjoy watching Formula One motor racing. Now, the Mercedes team, and if you're not a sports fan or a motor racing fan, just bear with me for a second because you'll get what I'm describing. The Mercedes team have been the leaders for the last several years. They've won the Constructors' Championship for the last several years. They've won the Individual Drivers' Championship in the form of Lewis Hamilton, who has now equaled the record of 7 World Championships. But now, Red Bull are in the ascendancy. The Red Bull team are now extremely competitive, and there seems to be a few more mistakes creeping in to the Mercedes team. Now, I don't know what's actually happening in the team. I don't know how the team works, but there just seems to be a few more mistakes creeping in. So the question is, if we are losing momentum, or if we've lost it, but we don't want to begin pushing and making bad decisions, what do? How do we regain our momentum so that we can continue to thrive? Of course, there's no one golden bullet. There's no one answer. But for my money, here is my preferred first step. Here's what I would do as the primary step. And to illustrate that point, another one of my hobbies and interests is space exploration. I love the history and the science of the moon landings. And during the flight of Apollo 13, now some of you may have seen the film with Tom Hanks, it's a great film, but there are certain points that are factually correct. And this one was. Now, so these guys are hurtling towards the moon at 24,000 miles an hour. That's about 38,000 kilometers per hour. And there's an explosion on board the spacecraft. And no one knows exactly what's happened. They could have been hit by a meteor. Anything could have happened on board their craft. In mission control, the displays were going haywire. Nobody knew what was the cause of the problem, and no one knew what to do. The 3 astronauts' lives were now at risk. These guys could die. Talk about losing momentum. So what did they do? They tried lots of things to diagnose the problem until the flight director, Gene Kranz, who is the boss of the entire mission, he heads up mission control, said to one of his flight controllers, a guy called Cy Liebergott, he said, let's reframe what we're trying to do. Let's look at this from the standpoint of, what do we have on the spacecraft that's good? What do we have up there that we know is working? And from that decision, they were able to make a number of decisions that eventually got the astronauts back home. They used the lunar module as a lifeboat, and they made a number of tactical decisions throughout the next few days that got them home. But that was one pivotal moment that is factually correct, that actually put them on the right path. So, what have you got when you begin to lose momentum? What have you got in your makeup, in your company, that's good? When Steve Jobs took back control of Apple, now because the history was he was fired from Apple, and he spent what many considered the wilderness years at Next Computers. Then he founded Pixar Animation. Of course, Toy Story was groundbreaking in the animation film industry. Then Steve came full circle and took back control of Apple. The first major decision he made was, what do we do that has been the source of our strength up to now? We are a computer company. We're a computer company that thrives on design, ease of use, and the experience of owning and using computers. And that's what these are. Tablets and smartphones are really small form, powerful computers. Once they've made that decision, everything else is history, and that set them on the path to what is now a $2 trillion market cap company. But it all started from, what have we got that's good? What have we got that's been the source of our strength up to now? So when you're facing a loss of momentum, my strong belief is the first place that you look is, what has been the source of our success up to now? Let's strip it away and get down to the core of what has got us this far. And then think about how we can continue to leverage that strength and add more and more and more excellence so that we can continue growing into the future. There are, of course, other decisions that you can make, but that is my strong encouragement as your first step if you begin to lose momentum. If you're facing the option of how to pivot a business model, same considerations apply, but I would always say you pivot. It's a very overused term given the global effects of the pandemic. How do we pivot our business model? But pivoting is the action of having one foot secure and moving the other one. You've got the anchor, but then you move around with an anchor. For my money, that anchor is the source of your strength. It's your core inherent strength that's got you this far. Take a look at that first, and you may find that things have begun to diverge as they were doing at Apple. The only profitable product that Apple had when Steve Jobs took back the reins was a printer. They got into all sorts of other products, but when they got back to the core, that's what made them successful. So what is it that you have that's the source of your power? Strengthen that, add more excellence, and I believe that can be the foundation for gaining back your momentum. I hope that did make sense. I hope it gave you a few ideas. I'll look forward to sharing with you again soon, and until then, stay happy, strong, and stay safe.